It was the most remote plane crash ever, and it left the crew stranded and badly injured in the world's toughest environment. But despite the incredibly harsh conditions, 6 of the crew members managed to survive for 13 days until they were finally rescued. We modeled the entire thing to show you how this incredibly brave group of humans managed to stay alive, and the rescue mission that eventually saved them. In 1946, a year after World War II, the U.S. turned its attention to Antarctica. This unclaimed vast stretch of land had untapped potential, and it seemed that the next war would be fought over who owned it. And so, in December 1946, the U.S. sent a huge expedition of 13 ships, 33 planes, and 5,000 men to Antarctica, with the secret mission of scouting out the continent, setting up bases, and claiming Antarctica as their own. One of the first flights to head out was the crew of George 1, made up of 9 young men, 2 pilots, radiomen, machinists, a navigator, a photographer, and the ship's captain. The journey was rough, and the extremely cold weather stopped the plane from getting above 300 meters. After 3 hours, they finally reached the coast, but the conditions were now worse than ever, and the crew couldn't see anything. The plane's altimeter was getting confused by the thick layer of ice beneath them and showed that the crew were still 300 meters above the ground. But little did they know that the land was actually right beneath them and rising quickly. Frenchie, the pilot, made the call to abandon the mission and turn back. But just as he was about to do this, the plane slammed into a mountain and tore a giant hole in the hull. 5,000 liters of fuel ignited immediately, causing a huge mid-air explosion. The plane came crashing down, scattering debris and its crew all over the ice. It was a complete disaster. Sadly, both Henderson and Lopez died immediately after being thrown through the plane's propellers. The rest of the crew were alive, but Frenchie was badly burned and could barely move. Fred Williams was even worse, with a broken back and several injuries to his face. It seemed almost certain that he would die. Instincts kicked in, and the crew immediately set up shelter in the plane's tunnel section, which had been ripped apart from the rest of the aircraft. They found a parachute and attached it to the end of the tunnel to stop the wind and snow from blowing in. After searching through the debris, they found sleeping bags, tents, and some food rations, mainly consisting of canned meat and soup.